All right, so this is one of the first worksheets I give out in my Java class, my intro to programming class, to go over arrays and just how they work. So think of your arrays as just like individual cells almost with data stored in them, and that can be all stored then inside one variable. All right, so we always start off in English, or not in English, but like when we first start off counting, and I think it's because like we have 10 fingers or whatever, but we start off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? That's how we learn how to count. Arrays are a little bit funky for people because the index position that they always start off at is 0. So that would be index position 0, index position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's all I have here. Yep. So now there are actually 9 different elements in here, but since we start at 0, an index position 0, we've got 1 stored in it, and an index position 8, we got 13 stored in it. So, and you could throw any numbers that you want in here. It just says insert int values into each box. So that's what I did. I just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13 in. So define and assign your array with the numbers you want to put in each box. So this is what this would look like. So it'd be numbers, int numbers, and I might have to make it a little bit smaller too here. $11, $12, $13. I'm gonna make it smaller so it fits all on one line. Okay, that's good. All right, so the opening and closing braces, they represent, and they're the square braces, or they might be brackets. I can never remember this. Either way, whatever. They're the opening and closing. I'm just going to call them braces. The opening and closing square braces. These represent arrays. You give the array data type. Now, in more advanced languages like Python, you can store different data types in an array. But with like C++ and Java, once you define your array, the data type, you can't change and put different data types in here. So, and so anyway, you put your values in, they're comma separated, and this is kind of how they would look if I've done this with strings too, and I mean you could have character values, and then inside here, instead of putting numbers, you could put like Scrabble board pieces, and that would kind of represent your array of characters if you wanted something like that. So, and that makes it a little bit more like physical, something that you can see and touch more than that's good for some of the younger students who are learning this. Anyway, I'm doing because I'm making a video, I'm just gonna do it like this with integers. So to define and assign your array with numbers, okay, so we did that. 3, well, sorry, this was actually 2, because 1 we already did. So 3 says write a line of code to assign a variable number size to the number of elements in your numbers array. Okay, so oftentimes you want to know how many elements are in your array, and so this is how you would do that. So you would say size of, and then you would put the numbers array in there, or whatever array you're looking at, and then divide it by the size of numbers. Whoops. And there you go. Okay. So all you do, and you're going to need to do this when you're working with arrays. Now these are just normal arrays, not 2D arrays. We'll do that later on. But if you have an array, you take the array and you put in the size of function, and then numbers at 0 in the size of function, and that will give you. So there's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would give you 9 right there. Okay. So what is the index and value of the first element in numbers? What is the index and value of the first element? So index, what is the index? That would be 0, and its value would be 1, 5. What is the index and value of the last element? So the last index position is 8, so its index would be 8, and its value would be 13. Alright, so 6. What is the relationship between the number size? So remember, the number size would give me 9. Number size variable of your array, and the index of the last element in your array. So if the number size is 9 and my last element is 8, 9 minus 1, or the number size minus 1, would give me 8, and that's my relationship between the two there. And that becomes important. I'm going to show you when I write some code here, why we would want to find the last element. You always either start with the last element or the first element or the last element, and depending on what you're doing, that's typically what you're trying to do. So alright, so 7, write a loop that adds up all the elements in your array and stores them in a variable called total. So we could have int total equals 0, and then 4, and stores in a variable called total. So then here we could do like a cout total. So we want to be able to go through the first element. So I is 0, and we want to make sure I is less than the number size I plus plus, because remember, number size is going to be 9. So I want to start off at, and I'm going to do something right here just so that you guys can kind of go back to this and look at this. But this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if my index ends at 9 right here, number size is 9, I can go 0 and run everything in here, add 1 to it. I becomes 1. Like, is 1 less than 9? Yep. So it'd do everything inside here, and then it'd go to 2 all the way to 8. 8 is less than 9, and then it would add 1 and become 9. Is 9 now less than 9? Nope. So then you're done with it. So what are we doing? So we're just building our algorithm here. So we go from 0 to the end, and so total plus equals whatever my numbers array, numbers at position I. Okay. Excuse me. And you guys might want to recreate these and try doing it on your own in Visual Studio or whatever. But that's what it's doing. It's going to take numbers at position 0, add it in to the total. So this is a combined operator. It takes the value and it stores it in here. And it, total at first is 0, so 0 plus 1 is 1. But now, whatever's at position 1, which is 2, 2 plus 1 is now 3, and so on and so forth. Write a loop that displays your array backwards. So this is where you would probably want this number size -1 because we want to start off at the last position. So if we're just trying to display it backwards, we could say for, and we want to start at the last position, so we could say int I is equal to, what is it, number size -1. That would give us 8, so we start at 8, and then I would need to be greater than or equal to 0, and then we would subtract 1 each time. So it would go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then it'd be -1, and -1 is not greater than or equal to 0. So we just are displaying our position backwards. So we would do cout, and then we would say numbers at position I, and that would give us our 8, and then we could do a, something like that. So it'd be 8, 7, 6, or 8, sorry, it goes 13, 12, 11, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's 8. So let's see here, 9 says write a loop that adds up all the elements in your array and stores them in a variable called total. Skip elements that are larger than 10. Okay. So then we would do something like this, right? So we're going to do something very similar to this, only we're going to have, instead of adding like here, we could have like an if numbers at position I is, so skip elements that are larger than 10. So if numbers is greater than 10, no, we would say less than or equal to 10, sorry. So we want to skip numbers greater than 10. So 10 is not greater than 10, but we would skip 11, 12, and 13 because those are all greater than 10. So we go in here and check, is the number at position I, is it less than or equal to 10? Then we would add them up. So boom, 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 boom. And we would add all those up. But then we would get to here and is 11 less than or equal to 10? Nope. So it'd skip it, and then it would go to 12. Is 12 less than or equal to 10? Nope. So we would skip those ones. Skip elements that are larger than 10. So there's 9. So that's pretty easy, especially since we wrote most of the code earlier. Calculate the average of your elements and store it in a variable called average. So we could even copy a lot of this too. Actually, we should have. So that would give us our total, and then we could do a cout average, and that would be what, total divided by number size. Probably want an endl right there. The only thing we got to do now, and I spelled these wrong on all of them, I just noticed that. Since we're dealing with averages, I'm gonna, well, I could just do this. I could say double average. Well, I'm not even making an average variable. This would work. You know, if you want to do an average variable and say average equals total divided by number size, but this should work right here, and you might have to put opening and closing parentheses around that. But that should give you your average, because you got your total, and then you just divide it by the number of elements in it, which would be 9. So anyway, let's see here. I don't think there's any more. This video might be about done. Oh, and then I got the answers down here at the end too. So I might throw this worksheet up for you guys, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just have the video. That's fine. Either way, you guys could write these out on your own if you wanted to, just by watching the video and then going through on your own and seeing if you could write these just off the top of your head. But this is a good kind of intro on, you know, how you define your arrays, how you figure out the number of elements in your arrays, thinking through, you know, the importance of element 0 and the last element in your array in terms of using loops. So anyway, this video's done.